These are the Dragons, the 5 multimillionaire investors on their way to the den. There, tonight, they will make or break the business dreams of dozens of budding entrepreneurs and inventors.
Why would I want to give you £100,000?
Don't do it. Don't waste your time on this.
The credibility of your projections is shot.
Selling something and making no money is easy. Anyone can do it.
What you've done is mundane.
The Dragons know what they're talking about. Powerful and wealthy now, they all built up their own fortunes from scratch. Deborah Meaden made her millions in the holiday and leisure industry in the West Country. Duncan Bannatyne is a Glaswegian entrepreneur whose £170 million empire includes health clubs, hotels and casinos. Theo Paphitis is a retail magnate who's transformed the fortunes of high street brands like Ryman, Licenza, Partners and Contessa. Richard Farley is based in Monaco and made his fortune as an investment banker and hedge fund manager, and he's now a prolific investor in UK startup companies. Peter Jones is one of Britain's most successful entrepreneurs. His multi-million-pound business empire ranges from telecoms and property to the media. In the den, the Dragons are ready to back the right businesses with their own money. But tonight, will anyone convince them to invest? Here in the Dragon's Den, more cash-hungry entrepreneurs are nervously waiting to pitch to our multimillionaire investors. They all have business ideas and inventions they think could make their fortunes, but they need investment to move forward. The Dragons can give them that investment, but they're risking their own money, so only the most profitable ideas will succeed. Well, first up is former pub landlord Ian Softley from Somerset, who had security in mind when he started his business. Now he's hoping to secure a £200,000 investment. Remember Dragon's Den rules, though. They state he has to get all the money he's come for, or he leaves without a penny.
Hello, my name's Ian Softley. I'm looking for £200,000 for a 40% stake in the business. I'd like to introduce you to Step Lock. Step Lock is a unique replacement for the door bolt, which has been around in various forms for thousands of years. I'll just show you how it works. On, off. Very, very simple. If I show you on here now, you'll see even more simply how it works. This is a very, very basic mock-up of your front or your back door. Please excuse it. This is your door bolt. And I'm sure we've all scubbed our knuckles on them a few times because they go out of shape, they go out of line, they don't work properly. This is your typical door chain. That works better. But in actual fact, neither of them work very well at all because they're only as strong as these two screws. And when some big nasty burglar wants to kick your door down, believe you me, they'll get past that. The step lock is now on. It doesn't fit to the door at all, so it doesn't destroy your door. It actually stops the door there. Now you might think that looks flimsy. It's actually based on the A-frame principle, which is one of the strongest things known to man. And so far, we have been unable to break it. We've never found a test that would break it. That's the step lock. Any questions? I'd like to hear them.
Can I have a look at it, Ian?
Yes, certainly.
Ian Softley needs £200,000 to mass-produce his step lock, which he's pitching as a more secure alternative to standard door bolts. But Richard Farley is already bemused by Ian's confident claims.
Hi, Ian, I'm Richard.
Hello, Richard.
You said that a burglar could break that quite easily. I guess really the burglar protection is basically the main lock. It's not these peripheral things, is it?
Good point.
Which is
That's
much
absolutely
stronger
right.
than a few screws. So I don't really follow that part of your presentation.
Okay, well, you have to then talk to crime prevention officers and people like that know about crime and how it happens.
Ian, sorry, what
Sorry.
Richard's talking about is the mortise lock. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if there's a mortise lock on,
Yes.
surely it's stronger than your lock.
Most mortise locks are strong and they're good enough to keep burglars out, except when they've got a key. And in this day and age, they're clever.
So
We all have-
yours is particular protection against a burglar who happens to have a key to my front door, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ian,
Probably.
I need to look at that because I don't understand. I thought you put that on when you were in the house. Can I look at it?
That's the one way round it.
Or look at the one that you've brought here today.
Yes.
But if I've gone out, this is the inside of the door.
Yep.
If I've gone out,
Yep.
I can't put this on, can I?
That's correct.
Okay, so a burglar with a key can come in anyway.
Yes, that's correct.
We just sit down.
It's a bad start for Ian. He's quickly faltered under the scrutiny of Duncan Bannatyne and Richard Farley. Peter Jones wants to inspect the step lock more closely.
Ian, can I have a look at the door?
Yeah.
The lock.
I wish you wouldn't use it as an example. I'm only showing you because of the action. That's all. Because the action is so new, there isn't anything else like this, you see. The bolt has been around for years.
Are you saying that somebody couldn't kick through that?
We've never found a way that you can kick
Peter,
through.
you're not going to kick through it, are you?
Yeah, well, this is not a door. This is just an example of how the mechanism works. You must remember that
It's only
I've just-
3 punches.
Yes, but this is just to show that action. And I've only got one screw in it as well. I did explain that earlier.
Why didn't you bring something that we could test?
Ian's rudimentary model has done him no favours. The dragons don't agree on much, but one thing that does unite them is their hatred of poor preparation.
I can't invest in something like this. And £200,000, I think you've made a big fatal error there. You would have done far better to have said, look, I'm on a wing and a prayer. I want £10,000 today to give that a go.
No,
£200,000?
To give it a go, we need to retool. We need to protect it for another 20 years, and I can do that.
But Ian, don't do it. Don't waste your time on this. I can't invest, so I'm out.
Ian has lost his first dragon. Duncan Bannatyne isn't going to let the matter lie either.
Why didn't you bring us a well-fitted, well-made small door as an example instead of that one?
I haven't had time to get one made. I got let down by the first carpenter that I ordered.
How long have you been involved in this thing here, this invention?
I've
Tell
been
us the
involved with
story.
it for 20 years.
20 years, and you couldn't get a proper door frame up in 20 years.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's problems getting a carpenter, but it's not that bad.
It's actually been on the shelf since 1992.
You haven't looked at this project for 15 years.
So every now and again, I've picked it up. That actual one that's on there has been on about 7 front doors of mine since 1991/2.
So
I mean, it's not an ideal situation that I find myself in. I appreciate that.
It's an extraordinary twist. Ian's revealed he's been working with the step lock since the early 90s. An astonished Theo Paphitis wants to know more.
Just spend a minute telling us about Ian.
Okay, let me tell you how I bumped into step lock, if I may, and then I'll explain who I am. We sold about 40,000 of them in 1991. And we sold them for £9.99. And would you believe it, we sold and trusted 26,000 of those went to an agent in Scotland who was selling them off the page. And then he went bust on us. And that's why it's never been seen for the last 15 years.
Did you sue him?
We did everything that we possibly could, and we traced him down to a house in Essex.
Surely you went to Essex, you knocked on his door and says, please can I have my
we couldn't
20
get in there.
A-frames back?
You couldn't get in because he had one of these.
There was nobody
One of
there.
these on his door.
There was nobody there.
The dragon's momentary sympathy for Ian's plight has evaporated fast. Duncan Bannatyne has heard enough.
The fact is that the more bolts you put on your door, the more a burglar's like to come through the window.
That's
And what a burglar likes to do is to ensure his escape route.
absolutely true.
Okay? This won't stop a burglar getting out. It might stop him getting in, but it won't stop him getting out, because he just has to do that and he's out the door.
It won't stop you getting out. No, it won't.
That's right. So what householders should do, if they don't want to be burglars, fit a mortise lock, go out, turn the key, put it in the pocket, and carry on with the business. And that will stop it, not this. So this is absolutely, I don't think you would ever sell any of these now. So I'm not going to invest, and so I'm out.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Only 3 dragons are still in. Can Ian salvage his investment bid and persuade any of them to back him?
I don't think you have enough faith in that product, and you haven't had enough vision, forethought, confidence, planning, all of the things that I would be looking for when I want to invest in somebody and their product. So I'm afraid for that reason I'm out.
Let me tell you where I am. Right, you've come in asking for £200,000, a ridiculous figure, because actually you've got enough to go around showing people to see if you can get some orders. You've got stuff that's actually working prototypes. You don't have to tool up straight away. You can try and get some orders. You can work out your lead time, where you're going to have them manufactured. You can do all that for very little money. So there's no investment opportunity for me. Take the advice, and I'm out.
Now only Richard Farley stands between Ian and imminent expulsion from the den.
And that just leaves me. £200,000 is way too much to throw at something like this just to find out. But what you could do, if you're really keen to find out about this, is to go off to one of the people who manufacture these things and say, listen, I've got this idea, I've got it patented. Do you want to sell them? Just give me, 50p for each one you sell. They know better than anybody whether this will work. So go to one of them and just license it to them. They will tell you straight away if it's any good and if your patent's worth anything.
Okay.
But for us, it's not worth putting in 200 grand to find out, so I'm out as well. That makes all of us. And thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
It's all over for Ian. From the very beginning, he just couldn't convince the dragons his steplock had potential. Well, Ian, I'm imagining you're feeling quite frustrated at that.
Well, yes, but quite simply, our prop let me down. I shouldn't have bought it in the first place.
You going to give this your full-time attention, or is it still going to remain in the drawer for another few
I haven't
years?
decided yet. A bit shell-shocked at the moment.
Well done, anyway.
Okay.
All the entrepreneurs who enter the den are passionate about their own ideas. Sadly, very few manage to inspire the same level of enthusiasm in the dragons. Next into the den was Welsh joiner Andrew Peters, who wanted £100,000 to develop his eye-catching phony box.
The phony box is a full-size wooden replica of the classic British red telephone box. You put it anywhere that a full-size cast-iron original can't be placed.
As soon as the covers came off, Deborah Meaden had a question.
What are they for?
Everyone who comes into London, the first thing they want to do is photograph the London Red bus and the phone box.
They might want to photograph it. I'm not sure they want to take one home with them.
I've had inquiries, one was going to be converted into a fish tank. People want to use them as outside toilet.
The dragons felt obliged to try it for size.
Deborah, you're in first.
Definitely.
5 dragons in a phone box. Will it shut?
Yeah, it will, it close on its own time.
Oh, mind your head.
Ow.
But Theopaphitis couldn't engage with the business proposition.
Why would I want to give you £100,000?
There's a big, big market out there, and it's an untapped market. It's a phony product, but it's not a phony business.
You got us there, right?
And Peter Jones drew the conversation to a quick close.
I can't get serious with you. It's a wooden telephone box. So I'm going to declare myself out.
The dragons are always looking for great money-making inventions. But will they think 21-year-old Roger Hines' business idea is worth an investment of £85,000?
I'm Roger Hind. I'm here today with my product Rotomate. I'm looking for £85,000 for a 15% share in the business. I think you'd agree, an umbrella with no covering is absolutely useless. Yet for decades, rotary clothes airers have stood in gardens unquestioned. Just one of 4 UK clothes airer manufacturers is currently selling over 400,000 units per year, with millions of people every year leaving their washing to the mercy of the British weather, which is where my product comes in, Rotomate. It is a purpose-built, designed rotary clothes airer which embodies a protective cover. 3 panels are attached to the tips of the arms. At the centre, each has a Velcro fastening and a concealed weight, forming a taut funnel lining that diverts rain away from the line and to the centre. I have won repeat orders from the UK's leading independent DIY store and from its main regional rival. And this week I've finalised an agreement with a wholesaler that furthers that retailing capability from regional to national. I'm now at the stage where my business is poised to reap huge rewards from a strong onward push. Thank you. I will now try to answer your questions.
Roger Hind's confidence in his Rotomate shines through his pitch for £85,000 of investment for a 15% stake in his business. But Theo Paphitis is curious about the appeal of the laundry sector to such a young entrepreneur.
How did you get involved in this?
How did I come up with this idea?
You're 21. How much washing do you do?
Look, I'm fortunate. You know, my mum normally does the washing for me. But to get to the point, how did I come up with the idea? Mum had put the washing out and she'd gone to work and I was 17 and she said, just do me a favour, if it rains, bring it in. And I didn't bring the washing in, and you can tell the inevitable happened. The washing got soaked. It was at that point I thought there's a problem there, and I thought there has to be a solution, if not for my own sake so I don't get told off again, for the sake of everybody else out there. That's why I came up with the idea.
Right, and then you just decided to design it, patent it?
I decided to employ a patent attorney, and that patent attorney has, with me, applied for a European patent, which he insists that it's imminent this year.
Right, and tell me about the orders that you had from a large DIY.
OK.
Have you got a further order from them?
I do. I have a purchase order with me which can be provided to yourselves for 1,000 units.
Roger's giving an impressive account of his product development. Duncan Bannatyne wants to pick up on where he's got to in actual sales.
So how many have you sold?
To date, I have sold 550 units.
Okay, and what price are you selling them at?
The wholesale price, from me to a wholesaler, is £11. However, they've been selling on the internet as well, at £24.95. The cost per unit is £7.
Roger's margins seem healthy enough, but Deborah Meaden wants to know, does the business have the potential to deliver profits for an investor?
Can you tell me what your business plan says in terms of financial numbers? What are you expecting over this year, next year, year after?
OK. For this year, I'm expecting to hit 8,000 sales.
So you're going to make about £32,000 profit?
That's correct.
OK.
For the following year, 2008, I anticipate 50,000 unit sales. For the year after, I predict a rise to 250,000 units. Basically, the wholesaler I've recently finalised the agreement with, I know for a fact, sell 26,000 units a year. This wholesaler is one of 6. I intend to speak to the other wholesalers and make more deals to see national distribution.
Roger's outlined ambitious growth plans for the Rotomate. Richard Farley is intrigued.
Can I just have a quick look at it?
Of course.
So the water doesn't come through here? This space is through here?
No, it doesn't.
And if it's windy and wet at the same time, does the water come through?
Windy and wet at the same time? No, it doesn't.
And are you paying yourself a salary out of the business?
Currently, no. I've tried to incur as little cost as possible.
Does the business have a lot of debt?
It doesn't, no.
Let me just give you something to think about. I'd be, you know, obviously a few more questions to ask, but at this point I'd be tempted to offer you sort of half the money for about, you know, the percentage you're talking about, so 15%, something like that. So just to let the others know, that's what I'm thinking.
Richard Farley has surprised his rival dragons with a slightly vague and very early offer, but it's only for half of the money Roger needs. Can he persuade one of the 4 remaining dragons to make up the rest?
I'm not as excited as some of our other dragons, particularly Richard. As you mentioned, there's about 400,000 clotheslines in the UK sold each year.
That's from one of the 4 UK manufacturers.
What's their percentage market share? 90%?
No, it'd be a quarter, because if one sells nearly 400,000 a year, then for them to stay in business, the others, they must have to compete fiercely. They must be selling a significant amount, as in hundreds of thousands.
But that's where there's a certain flaw there. Don't make an assumption that if one manufacturer is selling 400,000, it's very unusual to find that 4 of the main manufacturers will all be vying at market share at 25% each. I don't think the sales will get anything like the volume that you think, so I'm out.
It's an abrupt setback for Roger. His lack of marketing nous has driven Peter Jones away from a deal. Deborah Meaden is a marketing expert. Has Roger alienated her as well?
I'm slightly disappointed that you don't understand the size of the market. The credibility of your projections is, as far as I'm concerned, shot. But I'm actually going to make you an offer, because I like the product, but I want 20%. Because I think a lot of work needs to be done to get this out there.
So I would match Deborah's offer there.
Hey, I think we've got 2 other dragons still left.
Yeah, well, let's just get what's the offer that's on the table.
I thought you got 2. You're at 15%, she's at 20.
I said around 15%.
Around?
Why don't you relax for a second?
Oh, right.
Okay, let's just talk to... So, you would have a matching pair, right? Obviously the other dragons are not out, so you want to speak to them.
But Richard in one fell swoop has just taken another 5% off you.
There'd have to be some talk about you know, your salary and all that sort of stuff. But that's the offer that's on the table from the 2 of us.
Roger has now been offered the full £85,000, but Peter Jones and Richard Farley have clashed over Richard matching Deborah Meaden's equity demand. Theo Paphitis and Duncan Bannatyne are still in. Will either of them rival the 40% being asked for?
I think that the offer that's been made to you by Deborah and Richard is a very, very good offer. I wouldn't offer that amount, so I'm not going to make you an offer, so I'm out.
I don't believe it's an investable opportunity for me because the product hasn't got the market that I think you envisage. So I'm not going to make you an offer. So you have got those 2 offers, but I think you need to really reconsider and reevaluate your position for a new
So what Theo's saying
investment.
is, our offer is a lousy one, but he's not going to make a better one.
The dragons are furious with each other. But in the midst of it all, Roger has a crucial decision to make.
Okay, well, to those that are out, thank you. As regards the offer that stands for the capital injected and the advice and the assistance that can be provided by...
Roger, just before you do this, and I'm sorry to cut in, because I want you to actually start questioning the deal that's been put in front of you. You were offered, at the first deal, by somebody, half the money for 15%. Somebody came in at 20%, and now the whole deal's now at 40%.
I think there's something wrong with
One
Peter's
last
hearing.
thing, try and
I think there's something wrong
negotiate.
with Peter's hearing. I said, I'd like to hear more conversation, and I said around about your level. So for me, 20%, 15%, and there's nothing disingenuous about it. It's just, that's probably, I mean, in some ways, as Duncan said, £130,000 for your business is probably generous, you know. For me, I'm backing...
This is
backing...
cringing.
For me, I'm backing you, because I've seen what you've done in the last 4 years.
You're not...
Well, listen, you can listen to these guys.
make him a better
They
offer
can
then,
make him
Peter.
an offer.
I'm
Make
not
an offer.
interested in the product.
Make an offer. If our offer is disingenuous, right?
Why don't you let the
make an
guy
offer.
speak instead of rabbiting
Because you're
on?
speaking. Make an offer, Peter. Go on, come back in and make an offer.
Roger, would you like to give the 2 people feedback?
It's one of the fiercest arguments between the dragons the Den has ever seen. A bitter schism has opened up, with Peter Jones advising Roger not to give away as much as 40% for the £85,000.
Where I'm up to in my thoughts is, because as I say, it's my first project, I want to see it through. I want to make it work. I know I need assistance in certain areas, and I do believe that both Richard and Deborah can offer with this. So I'd like to accept the offer.
Terrific.
Well done. Good decision, Roger.
Well done.
Well done, mate.
Well done. Yeah, look forward to work.
After an incredibly tumultuous session, Roger is leaving with his investment. But in the Den, the disagreements continue.
40% is outrageous.
Well, it's got profits of £2,000.
It's 21. If it was a more experienced, it would have negotiated down.
Well, he wouldn't have got it from me. I'd never
We wouldn't have
moved
moved down.
Eh?
You should have given him a better offer.
Wasn't a product I want to get involved in.
But if it's not your
Just like
product, you can't...
Well, you can't have it both
criticise them
ways.
for what
You
they're
can't say
offering.
it's not worth
Put your money where your mouth is. That's the whole name of the game.
21.
Come on.
No, I'll definitely say well done, but I hope it works for him.
Roger, quite a marathon. Are you pleased with the offer you've got?
Yes, I am. Not only the cash, but certainly the advice is very useful.
Was there any point at which you would have turned that offer down while all the bickering was going on?
Why don't you let the
Make an
guys
offer.
speak instead of rabbiting
Because you're
on?
speaking.
There actually was, and it was something I was unsure about until I said, I've come to a decision. It was very difficult, very difficult.
Very, very well done.
Thank you very much.
The entrepreneurs who are asking the dragons to back them with their own money are all convinced their ideas could make them millions. Debbie Orme wanted to console bereaved pet owners with her Goodbye My Pet complete burial packs, and she needed £50,000 of investment to go global with her business.
The idea came about from talking to a mother who couldn't find a suitable container to bury her son's hamster in. The little one is $10.99, that's $14.99, that's $19.99, that's $29.99.
Deborah Meaden went straight in for the kill.
What's the alternative at vet? Because they do provide cardboard boxes.
Yes, they do.
How much do those cost?
They actually put that price into the euthanasia package.
So, in other words, it costs nothing at the moment.
Theo Paphitis spotted a huge potential flaw in the business.
What happens if this is a rip-roaring success and all the pet shops will say,
Yeah.
we'll do our own?
Well, they might do. I can't stop them.
And all the dragons had grave doubts about investing.
What you've come up with Goodbye My Pet, if I was to put money in it, it would be Goodbye My Money.
This is emotional, yes. A business idea, no. It goes straight into the dead parrot school
Right.
of business. I too am out.
Next up were brothers Richard and Stephen Bean. They tried a spot of regression therapy out on the dragons in an attempt to secure an £80,000 investment for franchising out their Teddy Tennis Training Academy.
So, dragons, I'd like you to imagine you're 4 years old, you're halfway through a teddy tennis lesson, and you're about to be introduced into your next game.
So as you can see, Cub Cadets, you get the racket low and you swing to here. And if you're really clever, you can even hear the sound of a ball being hit. Thank you.
Right, thank you, dragons.
Their training program for toddlers momentarily soothed the dragons. But ever alert former tennis pro Peter Jones was soon querying the quality of coaching that would be on offer.
What level have you played up to in tennis?
I'm an LTA qualified licensed coach, but I think that the best people for teaching teddy tennis are enthusiastic, sort of arty people, drama school teachers, young people who are very enthusiastic with this age group.
The dragons quickly found fault with that approach.
I think with you doing it, it's a method to teach children to play tennis. I think take you out of it and just put anybody who's got an interest in drama or children, then what we're saying is a way of keeping children amused for a period of time.
And Richard Farley fired a volley of criticism at the business.
You replicate this at a fraction of the cost, and you're really charging a hell of a lot. You know, you're trying to milk it beyond belief. So I can't get involved. I am out.
So far tonight, the Dragons have backed just one enterprising young businessman. Will any of these entrepreneurs persuade the multimillionaire investors to part with their cash?
I don't often get annoyed by business presentations, but I find this quite annoying.
It cannot be environmentally economic to bus people out to India.
There's nothing there to invest in. So I want to tell you where I am, and I'm out.
After working for the leading brand in wind-up radios, Vivian Blick from Gloucester decided to go it alone. But his business now needs £200,000 of the Dragon's money for research into a new product.
Hello, my name is Vivian Blick, Managing Director of Tango Group Limited. I'm here today to offer 5% equity in Tango Group in return for a £200,000 cash investment. We distribute a range of alternative energy products that we've developed ourselves, plus a range of products that we distribute for other people, including the world famous wind-up radio, more recently the world's smallest hydrogen fuel cell powered car. But specifically, what I'd like to talk about today is H2O power, water power. This cell that I'm showing you now is fully recyclable and has an indefinite shelf life. If I apply just some water I can immediately activate the cell, which starts to generate 1.5 volts of electricity. This electricity can be applied to a range of low power, low energy devices, such as the devices you can see here, a range of clocks and calculators that we presently manufacture and distribute. This is our second generation cell, and the £200,000 investment that I'm looking for today will be used to go to the fourth generation, whereby we can run portable radios, DVD players, etc. The market potential is huge. The battery business worldwide is worth in excess of $50 billion per annum and is growing year on year. Last year alone, we in the UK dumped 300 million dead batteries into landfill. This product is a viable solution both environmentally but also from a financial investment point of view. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you found that interesting, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
It's a bold entrepreneur who asks the Dragons for £200,000 in return for just 5% equity. But that's how confident Vivian Blick is in the potential of this water-powered battery. Peter Jones is quick to begin his questioning.
Vivian, hi. A staggeringly high valuation, 3.8 million. What's in your business today? What's it done? How long has it been going?
Started the business right at the end of 2003. Year one sales would be around £750,000. About £300,000 gross profit with a net loss filed of about £24,000 from memory.
Okay, then year two?
Turnover was £1.2 million, and we also filed a loss that year as well of £49,000.
Okay, and then year three?
We show 1.6 million turnover, 600,000 gross profit, and there is a net profit which we're not willing to disclose just at the moment because we're still working through those final numbers.
And what's that net profit likely to be?
It will be 6 digits.
So it'll be 100k at least?
In that ballpark, yeah.
Vivian sounds confident that his high turnover is about to translate into net profits, which is key for potential investors. And Deborah Meaden has often said she'd like to make a green investment.
Vivian, anybody else doing this?
No.
Using this technology?
No. To be straight and accurate, we have licensed this technology from an existing patent and we have a 5-year licence. We now see and we have the opportunity to take the existing cell and really improve upon it and take it to a point where we can offer much greater energy density.
OK, I'm a little bit more confused now. Do you or do you not own the technology?
We do not own the technology. We have a 5-year licence to use the existing technology. This development phase will be used to create a leapfrog of the existing technology, and we will own that outright as our own patent and our own technology and brand.
And how sure are you that that does not infringe the original patent?
That's a very good question. The technology that exists at the moment is just ready. It's crying out to go to the next stage. We know how to do that. The inventor in China is not willing to invest. I've tried to do joint ventures, but that's not of interest to him. We won't infringe his patent. What it will do is show additional novelty and enough dissimilar intellectual property to actually be worthy of its own patent in its own right.
The scrutiny of Deborah Meaden has revealed a potential flaw in Vivian's case. He doesn't own the patent for the current battery and will have to embark on high-tech research and development to ensure he can patent an improved version. Theo Paphitis has been looking increasingly concerned.
You've got distribution in the UK,
Correct.
not the rest of the world.
No, we're not exclusive in the UK, but we have a technology license to use the technology in the products that we develop. But there is nothing stopping the inventor also granting a license to somebody else to use the technology. We have a license to use this technology to build our own products. And
so you have no exclusivity for the import of the H12 product, and you have no exclusivity for the license. What's unique about your company that's valued at £4 million compared to other distribution companies that turn over the same level?
Okay. We're basically in a trading operation with alternative energy products. Don't forget, we've sold 100,000 of these products so far over the last two and a bit years. A company that's heading for a £2 million turnover this year, with or without exclusive rights. Is imagine where we could go if we have our own patent on the H2O technology. And sometimes
nobody's knocking the product or your ability to sell them. What we're knocking is the profit. And you keep talking about turnover. But if the turnover doesn't produce a decent profit, then it is pointless.
Sure.
Selling something and making no money is easy. Anyone can do it.
Vivian is valiantly arguing his corner, but the Dragons are picking holes in his pitch. Richard Farley specialises in high-tech investments. Will he spot more potential than his rivals?
How does that compare to an ordinary battery that I buy?
It's a different characteristic. It's an interesting question. A typical AA-type battery has a different characteristic.
So I can't, products that use an existing AA battery, I can't take one of yours and whack it in instead?
No. That's exactly why, at the moment, we have a unique connection system to stop people doing that and stop being disappointed.
Right. And because the power it's a trickle, basically, at the moment.
Exactly right.
So you're, on the one hand, what you're doing is slightly mundane because you're sourcing products from China and selling them. On the other hand, you're really pushing forward this high-tech side of the business.
Correct, yes, excuse me.
And when I compare the high-tech part that you've done, you haven't done anything which is not already being done by hundreds of companies out there. And I know that for a fact.
Absolutely.
Your valuation of £4 million, I mean, I've seen universities doing this where the valuations are in the hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Okay.
Your valuation of £4 million, which technology which you don't yet have, which you're promising to develop or hoping to develop, and your ambition is only to do really gimmicky products.
Vivian's been heavily criticised by Richard Farley, and Theo Paphitis has heard enough.
Vivian, you've got what looks like a good distribution business. You're waving a carrot under our nose that the reason you're putting this ridiculous valuation on is that you might be able to develop a water fuel cell that's stronger and has got more use and more power. And for that, you want me to give you a valuation of £4 million on that potential. That just can't possibly make sense to anybody. It's not viable. And that's the reason why I'm out.
Vivian, the single thing I can say is crazy valuation. Crazy valuation. Can't even attempt to attack that. So for that reason, I'm out.
Vivian's in real trouble. The deal he's offered the Dragons has angered two of them to the point of walking away from further negotiations. Richard Farley is ready to have his say.
I don't often get annoyed by business presentations, but I find this quite annoying because I know that you are pulling the wool over our eyes. I know that because what you've done is mundane compared to what I know are hundreds of companies out there developing fuel cells, and I believe you are trying to pull the wool over our eyes. So I don't often get annoyed by people asking me for money, but I think that you have come in here really trying to pull one over us.
I find that fairly insulting.
I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel.
I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I've been very open.
Have you tried to raise money before for this business?
No.
Well, why not?
Because
Have you got any government grants? If this is such a great green breakthrough, you know, that is going to change the world, right? Has the government given you any money?
I haven't asked them for any money.
Well, why not?
I'm not familiar with this territory, in all honesty.
I think the real answer to the government is because if you went to the government, they would not give you money. Because you're not a technology company, you're not a university outfit, you're not full of PhDs cracking the frontiers of fuel cells, and you've designed some toys which run off trickle power. So I believe that you know full well this business is not worth £4 million. So I'm out as well.
Well, I think that's actually a slight on my character, because I don't know that at all. I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes.
The den was tense already, but now you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. Only Peter Jones and Duncan Bannatyne stand between Vivian and failure in the den.
Vivian, I totally disagree with Richard insofar as I don't think you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. I think what you are doing is overvaluing your business, simple as that. And I think you should just admit that. That's what's happening. I don't think there's anything devious going on here at all. But that aside, the fact that you don't own the patent to this, I actually think is a major problem. If you came here with the lovely Chinese guy and he was perhaps part of your business, I think that would really strengthen the offer today. And that's actually why I'm not going to invest, and I don't want to condemn your business idea because I think you're clearly a good guy, but it's just a shame for me that you didn't have the inventor on your team, and that's the only reason why I'm out.
Peter Jones might not agree with rival Richard Farley's conclusions, but like him, he's rejected Vivian's bid for investment. It's left to Duncan Bannatyne to have the final word.
He thinks you're winding us up. He thinks you're a nice guy. You know, at the end of the day, I don't really care. And it doesn't really matter whether you try to pull the wool over my eyes or whether you try to wind me up. At the end of the day, you've no patent, you've no exclusivity, there's nothing there to invest in. So I want to tell you where I am, and I'm out. I'm not investing, I'm out.
Fine, okay.
It's been a grueling session for Vivian in the den, and he leaves bruised by his encounter with the Dragons. Vivian, that took quite a surprising turn, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah. I was not expecting Richard to be so aggressive on my character.
I know that you are pulling the wool over our eyes. I know that.
I think it was unfounded, and I'm a little bit shocked, to be honest.
Now let's go through what he was saying. He was saying you must have known that there are other people out there doing the work on this kind of fuel cell or similar battery.
Well, they've hidden it very well because we're the only people selling a water-powered battery anywhere in the world that I'm aware of. So the only saving grace, I think, with Peter, the good decency to say that he could see that perhaps I wasn't a con artist, which is, I'm still reeling from those shocking comments, to be honest. Quite unfair, and where they came from, I don't know.
OK. Well, well done all the same.
Thank you.
The dragons never have any idea who's going to climb the steep stairs into the den next, or what they'll be pitching. Londoner Prem Singh wanted a £150,000 investment for his medical tourism business, Med de Tour, and came with some bold claims to bolster his bid.
Our company offers hope and joy to millions of people across the world who are looking for affordable, world-standard medical treatments. And we do this by sending them to hospitals in India. The most attractive reason why people would come to India is the cost savings. Cardiac treatments that cost £20,000 here can be done for £5,000–6,000 in India.
But Peter Jones was worried that in this business, reducing costs by increasing volume isn't necessarily a selling point.
How many can they do a day?
The orthopedic doctor, but he does something like 45 hip replacements a day.
45 a day?
I know.
That would worry, I think, anybody that wants a hip replacement. He's doing 45 in a day anyway.
Deborah Meaden was more concerned with carbon footprints than faulty hip joints.
It cannot be environmentally economic to bus people out from the UK across to India for operations and then back again.
And Theo Paphitis speedily kicked the whole idea into touch.
You know, you're painting a picture of some form of sushi medicine, where everyone's on a conveyor belt and you stick a hip in, like making Action Men. You're frightening me. And for those reasons, I'm out.
Next up was Reggie Donnell from Belfast, who had invented a domestic fire escape concealed in a fake drain pipe and wanted a £200,000 investment.
Empty room, filled it up, talk is cheap, listen up, I don't know where we went wrong, but I feel I'm shaking these walls, yeah, nothing safe, gotta take cover, still of love, we just make glitter, running and running, yeah, we got off track, now we under attack.
If this is bolted onto the outside of your house, you simply reach out and take off this release cap. And what happens to this rather innocuous looking rainwater pipe is that it springs out into a rigid aluminium ladder.
Peter Jones was alarmed by the answer to his first question.
How much is it?
We expect the retail price will be £495.
£495?
That got all the other dragons fired up.
You're saying it's £500 per room and you'd like to put it in multiple rooms. People aren't going to pay it.
If I had £1,000, what would I do? I would spend it on my hardwired fire alarm system before I installed 2 of those on the outside of my house.
Reggie's chances of investment quickly went up in smoke.
Perfect thing, isn't it, for a burglar to use? I can't invest in something like this, so I'm going to declare myself out.
Next up is a former dancer and choreographer from Carlisle, Denise Hutton. She's asking for £50,000 to fund ambitious expansion plans for her business. But will the dragons entertain this investment opportunity?
Hi, my name's Denise Hutton and my business is Razzmatazz Theatre Schools, and today I'm pitching for £50,000 for 25% of the business. Razzmatazz is a part-time children's theatre school. We teach the kids dance, drama and singing and aim to develop their confidence, improve their health and fitness and provide a safe and secure resource for parents. Today the kids are going to sing for you, and Midden has wrote this song. It's a Razzmatazz jingle. She's only 8 years old, so we're going to do it for you now.
Dance all night, sing so right. So let's all go to Razzmatazz, Razzmatazz. Come join us, bring your friends, it'll be so cool at Razzmatazz.
Razzmatazz was established in 2000 in Cumbria. I branched out into the north of England and into Scotland. At the end of 2005, I franchised the business, and in 2006, we successfully launched 2 in Glasgow, 2 in Edinburgh, and 1 in South Cumbria, with Derby launching in February of this year, and other locations in the pipeline. The franchisees pay a one-off fee for the territory and a 10% management fee thereafter. The kids attend Razzmatazz once a week for 3 hours a week, paying a maximum of £5 an hour. There's 25 in each class, which is 75 per school. There's 12 weeks a term and 3 terms a year. This equates annually to around about a turnover of £40,000, expenses of £10,000, so a net profit before tax of around £30,000. Razzmatazz would use the Dragon's investment to launch 10 more schools in the UK. It's a good investment because the franchise is up and running and it's proving successful. I propose at the end of year 3 you would get your £50,000 back, plus an estimated profit of £40,000. I'm going to ask the kids to leave the den now, and so we can carry on our discussion. Thank you.
Denise Hutton's entertaining pitch has cajoled a rare smile from at least some of the dragons. But can she tempt any of them to part with a £50,000 investment for a 25% stake in her theatre schools?
Denise, hi, I'm Thea. Wow.
Hi.
That was spectacular.
Bit different.
How many schools in total now?
There's 10 in total now.
How many schools do you actually own?
4.
The other 6
Yeah.
are franchise?
Yeah.
And the master plan is?
Year 1 to set up 10 more schools in the UK and 10 cities in the UK, and then reinvest the money to set up 10 more, reinvest the money to set up 20 more.
So up to 50 over 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Denise is clearly ambitious with plans for rapid expansion. Duncan Bannatyne wants to grill her further.
What's your competition?
Stagecoach is the main competitor, and they've got 600 schools in the UK.
That's right, yeah. My children went to Stagecoach.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it dancing, or is it dancing and a bit of acting, or?
They do dance, drama and singing. So they have 1 week they do all musical theatre, and the next week it's all pop and street dance and things like that, so they're getting a good mixture.
Can you tell me what your profit is over the last 3 years?
2005, about 28,000.
28, bottom line profit, pre-tax?
Yeah.
Right, 2004?
2004, probably about 20,000.
Right, and the previous year? 2003?
Probably about 18,000.
And is that after you taking a salary?
The first year, well, the first couple of years I didn't really take a salary, but I do now, yeah.
So when somebody gets a franchise and they pay you a one-off fee,
Yeah.
what fee do they pay you?
Between 5 to 10,000.
Right, and do you put any of that money into setting them up?
Yeah. If they paid 5,000, about 3,000.
Yeah. So you make about 5,000 or 6,000 out of each, up
Can
to
do.
6,000 out of each franchise that opens.
Yeah, and then the 10%
10% of what?
of the turnover.
Which is about?
If they've got 100% occupancy, about 40,000.
Right, but they give you 10%, whatever the figure is.
Yeah.
Denise is confidently painting a clear picture of a potentially cash-rich operation. But that's raised issues of its own for Peter Jones.
Denise, what do you need £50,000 from me for?
Well, I would use the £50,000 to set up the franchises so that they don't have to approach a bank.
You're going to become a moneylender?
It's just a quicker way to set up.
But Denise, you're going to go and find franchisees and then you're going to lend them the money to pay you.
That's just one option. We don't have to do that.
Is it a factor which is affecting your expansion, people not prepared to pay the
No.
£5,000?
No.
Well, if it's not, then you should totally forget it, because you take away one of the key pivotal points of franchising.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
The financial commitment that they gave you day one.
Suddenly, Denise is in real trouble, her composure crumbling under the disapproval of Theo Paphitis. Deborah Meaden suspects that Denise's ambition isn't matched by her business acumen.
Have you actually decided what you need £50,000 for?
We obviously need
we
to
can spend
market.
it. Please don't tell me you can spend that £50,000 somewhere else.
No, we need to advertise for more franchises, so we'd use it for marketing and things.
Oh, so either you could spend it to get those 10 franchises in, but if we think that's a bad idea, then maybe we could spend the money on advertising.
Well, you wouldn't spend that kind of money on advertising, no.
Denise, I might be reaching a decision here. My worry is that you're not clear on your destiny.
That's why I've come here today, though, because you've obviously got so much experience. It was for...
Well, it's not an advice bureau.
No, and we're not here to run your business for you. So I'm really sorry, Denise, but I'm out.
Yeah.
Denise has lost her first dragon. Will any of the other dragons see a clearer opportunity in Razzmatazz?
Denise, you need to get a very clear understanding of your vision and where you're going. I'm investing in you, and then you're saying, actually, Peter, you're not. What you're really doing is, I'm now sitting here as Denise the bank. I'm going to take your money and loan your money to another 50 people that you don't even know who I'm talking to.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I'm going to decline the offer. I'm going to say I'm out.
Now, Deborah Meaden and Peter Jones have both lost confidence in Denise and pulled out. Richard Farley has been listening intently.
Denise, I think you've given a very good presentation today. I love the kids in here and I love their performance. The only thing I don't like for an investor is just that there's a very big competitor there called Stagecoach.
Surely they were at my level at one point as well.
Yeah, they were. And when they did that, there was no big competitor.
Yeah.
For me as an investor, I don't see the return, so I'm going to say I'm out as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
You're looking at someone who's very disappointed.
Okay.
I do think you need to stop and think about how you're going to do this.
Okay.
I don't think you need the money if you go down the proper franchising route, because that generates income. So, on that basis, it's not an investment for me. So I too am out now.
Yeah.
Four dragons are now out, and Denise's chances of securing the £50,000 investment are hanging by a thread. Duncan Bannatyne is the only one left in, and since his initial grilling, he hasn't said a word.
Denise. I think you do a lot of things wrong. But I know Stagecoach very well, not just as a theatre school, but as a company, because I invested in them. And when I sold my investment, I did very well. And I know how it works. And I think with your enthusiasm, you could possibly build the second Stagecoach. So on that basis, if what you said is correct, your last set of accounts, audited accounts, show a profit of £28,000 pre-tax, then I want to invest. And I'll invest at the level you've asked, if you want me to.
Yeah, I want you to.
Okay. It's a done deal then.
We got a deal.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well done.
It's an extraordinary moment. Denise has secured her investment for the precise amount of equity she was offering, and she walks away with an extremely knowledgeable new business partner to boot.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.
First time I think a deal's been done without any haggling.
I just couldn't. How could you haggle? She wanted 50,000 for 25%. She's got a fantastic little business. How could I haggle?
Yeah.
It's a great little business.
Denise, you didn't even have to argue when you got your money. Are you happy?
I'm over the moon. Totally over the moon.
Now, we're a bit of a bombshell when Duncan said I had shares in Stagecoach, right?
Yeah.
With your enthusiasm, you could possibly build the second Stagecoach.
He said he made money from it, so he knows the potential, doesn't he? So.
Do you think maybe you should have bid for a bit more now?
No, I'm happy.
You really are happy?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, very well done and good luck.
Thank you.
Next time on Dragon's Den.
What you brought in is a box made of MDF, and you're valuing it at £500,000.
If you don't know, say, I don't know.
I don't know.
I actually think that adds a danger.
Okay.
And I don't think that's clever.
To see how our entrepreneurs feel before they climb the stairs into the den, visit our website, where you'll also find revealing interviews with the dragons themselves. That's bbc.co.uk/Dragons Den.
Politics, lust and drama next on BBC Two, and then Buzzcocks at 10.